greatest problems we see, and I sit downtown frequently for the judges that are out of town or doing various things, and there's a specific court on Monday where the domestic violence cases come. It's Division 3, and they group them together, and I guess they assign prosecutors who they think have some expertise in those areas. But one of the really frustrating things for judges are the number of victims that don't want to prosecute the charges. And this is very frustrating because you read the affidavits and you see the pictures of the victims, and not all of them, don't get me wrong, but more than that I'm comfortable with. And you wish that they would prosecute the charge, but they won't. And a lot of times, in fact, they'll tell the police they didn't even want them arrested, but now the police have to under this law, which is a good thing to get one of the parties out of the situation. But the problem is that they don't, and they won't testify, and you have no choice but to dismiss the charge. And this is not only, as Judge Steelman was saying, do you see the violence in the home, but you also see a toleration of it. In other words, the victims sometimes will not stand up for themselves. They go back into that. So I think it's sending a message to the kids that you can do violent things to intimidate, to hurt a person, and you can get away with it because they're afraid, they may be afraid to prosecute the culprit, the defendant, because he or she is so intimidated or instilled fear in them, or they're dependent on them. There's various reasons, but the bottom line is that a lot of people who have committed domestic violence, they go back home, whether the victim's their spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, child, they go back home without any conviction. Probably more so than any other crime that we see in court. You see this more than any other crime, because a lot of the times when the parties are unrelated, like they stole from you or they assaulted you at a ballpark or something, you have no relationship with that person and you don't care, so the victims generally want to go ahead. But when it's people who've had a relationship and want to have a relationship in the future, there's just really a difficult time, unless the injuries are really serious. But the minor injuries, the one where there's no serious injury, a great many of those cases are not prosecuted. And not only are they not prosecuted, you cannot get the victims to come to court because they don't want to prosecute. They didn't want to prosecute the case to start with. So when the defendant comes, and I see this all the time, the district attorneys will, and you know this, we issue show cause orders. The victim's not here, the defendant is here. We issue a show cause order and order that victim to be here on another day, or else they can be arrested in theory. But the state does not like to arrest victims for not coming to court because they may not come because they were afraid, intimidated, whatever. But the reality is the state has a case and they don't have a victim, they don't have any witness to testify. So they have no choice but to dismiss it. And you don't know why that person didn't come. You don't know if they were threatened or, for coming. If you go there, I'm going to hurt you. But you cannot force them to give them. So a lot of times you're frustrated, judge, well, I'll issue a warrant and force that person to come to court. But then you say, well, that may not be good either, because then you're endangering that person, and it's just really difficult when you sit on that docket and what you see, and you can't solve the problems there. You can just see the result of it, that cases where there's no question that a crime has been committed and it's dismissed. And that's one of the most frustrating to me when I see domestic violence and I want to deal with it, is that you can't. The state says, we moved to dismiss it. The victim's not here. They've moved away. We've sent a show cause order, and we don't have any choice but to dismiss the case.